Welcome back to Income Trading 101. And today we're going to take a look at Freeport-McMoRan, the mining company. Today is Monday, June the 14th, and they had earnings a few months ago, even had a dividend. And I just want to pull this data all the way out like I can. We'll go back 10 years. Ooh, did you see that? Let's get a better sense of where we are. Pull this on in. So there we go. Looks like that might make for a nice Fibonacci retracement overall, a 10-year one. Gotta love when that works out. Okay, so let's pull this back out. I'd like to work with, initially at least, about a year worth of data. So I'm just going to take this. Actually, I'm going to go right on back to about April, which coincides with pandemic. They also had an earnings announcement on looks like the 24th or so of April. You can see as of April of 2021, they have also started paying their dividend again too. I like dividend paying stocks. So think about this at 7 cents. So 7 cents times 4 is 28 cents. This is a 39, just basically rounded up to $40 stock, getting 28 cents a year as a dividend. It's not very much, but better than a sharp stick in the eye. So let's take a look. We're going to start off like we always do with a little bit of moving averages. So I'm just going to type this in. For those of you who are new to this, I normally use moving averages, a 10, a 20, and 60 period. And I say period because we're going to, let's do this. We're going to look at different time periods as well. So at the start, it's a 10-day. But it won't be that as soon as we change again. So let me switch all of these over. I like to use green for my 10 period. I'm going to use red for my 20. It's like my mid-range. Gives me a nice little buy and sell signal. And then I leave the other one yellow, but I like it to be a 60-day, so it's more of a 3-month or a 2-month moving average for me. 3 months actually, given that there are 20 trading days per month. So let's expand this on out so we can get a better look. Actually, so right now we've got a situation where we've had some convergence. Our 20 period is actually above the 10 period, but the 60 is below. So that is neither a bullish or bearish signal, although it appears to be turning bearish given the last few days. Let's take this down to the 1 hour and see what we get using moving averages in. I'm just going to change the scale a little bit so we can see a little bit better how the price has been moving. So at the 1 hour, you can see all three moving averages are in line. The 10 is less than the 20, which is less than the 60 period. That is indicative of a bearish or a bearish trend in the market. You have the same at the 30-minute level with the 10 operating lower than the 20 and lower than the 60. And next up, let me brighten this up a little bit. Next up, we're going to take a look at the 15-minute. And at the 15, I'm going to expand this. Didn't mean to do that. I'm going to expand this even more so we can really exaggerate this out. You can see that the 10 is below the 20 and below the 60. So in everything but the daily, we saw more bearish, a truly bearish signal using the moving averages. So I'm going to pull this on back up and give us a little bit more data, roughly about a year. We're going to tighten this up a little bit. And next up, we're going to go to the MACD. I like the MACD because, so those moving averages that I just used are simple moving averages. The MACD actually uses an exponential moving average. So for those of you who like exponential, I don't use that in my moving averages, but when I'm using the MACD, it's actually taking that into account. And it also is a sense of gives me a sense of momentum. So you can see there's a big crossover back in May on the daily crossover. That is a bearish crossover when you get the red line, the signal line over the blue, the MACD line. I like to wait for signal confirmation, meaning seeing both the red and the blue cross the zero line. But on the daily chart, especially where you have a change in momentum, a change in direction, you can decide whether or not you want that sort of confirmation. But you can see, given this nice little trend higher, we'll take a look at that too. You can see how this trend line just sort of oscillates back and forth. We've had crosses, but it's never broken the zero line except briefly over here, at which point it still rose back again. So the thing that I'm very aware of with the MACD is that it is prone to give you, if you just use these crossovers, these bullish and bearish crossovers, it is prone to give a lot of signals, and some of those are going to be false. So when you take it to a smaller time frame, like the 1 hour time frame, you're going to get more crosses. So here you had a bearish cross, right? And you can see as momentum goes lower, the price actually went higher, right? That's why I say these can be rather tricky. Price did cross over again and go on lower. By the time it crossed down here, price itself was actually moving higher, had already started back moving higher. So this is really quite inconclusive. Now you did have a crossover, a bearish signal here on June the 2nd, but June the 7th is showing bullish, even though price is heading lower. So that's part of the reason, definitely on some of the lower time frames, I'm going to want to see some confirmation, meaning seeing the signal and the MACD line cross over the zero line. Let me take it. I think that was the 1 hour. So we'll go to the 30-minute right now. So 30 minutes, same thing. You had a bullish crossover back on May the 20th, and it went bearish, crossed the zero line again, bullish, just lots of oscillation. This is a big bearish crossover. And even though it did cross back, stock went down almost $2, but you had a bullish crossover that happened back on June the 4th. And we really haven't improved in price. We've just sort of oscillated. Briefly, the MACD line went up into positive territory, but we're just sort of oscillating and dropping lower. So we haven't gotten the true bullish signal that we would want to see in order to use this to buy. And at the 15-minute, I'm sorry, these are so flat. I'm trying to explain it so you can get or expand it so you can get a little better view of what's going on in price. You had a big bearish crossover back here on June the 1st. Since then, we've had, fits and starts of bullish crossovers. Even one that crossed the zero line. There you could have actually bought for, a little bit, a very short amount of time before you had another bearish crossover. And you can see we had a little bullish crossover, prices went up, and another bearish one to where they went lower. So ultimately, you've had lots of signals at the 15-minute level since June the 1st, but price is significantly lower, right? If you look at this, if you would have sold this, even though it went up briefly, if you had shorted at 43.92, you'd be, more than $4 in the money right now with regards to price going lower. So, definitely I don't just like to use the MACD. If I do use a single indicator for my trading, then I want to make sure that I use that indicator across multiple time frames, just because you need perspective. And being able to change the time frames can give you the perspective that you need in order to be able to fully analyze and understand what the chart's telling you. So that being said, with regards to that perspective, I'm going to go ahead. We've taken it back to the daily, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this data all the way back as far as I can, pull the chart down. We're going to do a little Fibonacci analysis just to see where we are right now. And what's interesting, here in 2020, that's the pandemic, and then you see what's happened since then with regards to price truly rising back significantly. So I'm interested in this move from the top back in 2011 all the way to, I guess this would have been the low back in 2016. And then I just bring it straight on across. Oh, I guess I have to put it there. We'll just go there. All right. So right now, when we look at this, price is sitting on, this would be the 61.8% retracement, right? Oh no, I didn't mean to move that. Sorry about that, everyone. If you look at that 61.8, it's $39.18. We saw this line act as resistance back in 2014, and it sort of was traded around in November of 11. So this pullback or retracement is actually really significant. Let's see if I can pull it all the way over. I mean, this is nice. I want to see. So the real question is whether or not we're going to first off reach this 78.6% level, which would be the at $49.25. I'm just going to pull this on over so we can see that again. 48.94 is actually the 78.6% level, and then the top of this larger term trend is $61.26, and we are looking very strong right now, like that's going to possibly be reached. You could argue that that you would expect a little bit of resistance up here at the $56 range, possibly the $58 range. But if we do break above, if we can break above this current level and stay higher, meaning if this 61.8% level becomes support, I would expect this stock to go ahead and reach all the way back up to $48.94. That'd be pretty huge. That's a $9 move. That's almost, on a $40 stock, that's almost a 25% move in the stock. So definitely worth paying attention to since we are so close to it. I'm going to get rid of this Fibonacci retracement, expand this back out a little bit, make it a little easier. The other thing I like, and you guys who watch these know that I am always looking at various trends and channels. I feel like the channels are really good, a good way to visually see. What I like about that channel is I actually can bring it all the way. I can bring this down and make this channel make it encompass a good chunk of the material or of the pricing. That's keeping this current sort of slope. Arguably, we shouldn't keep that slope because this was operating under a different one, and it was a much tighter one. Right? So you had a much tighter band of price that happened in 2020, and then we broke through that. And since 2021, the price has moved around a lot more. You can see the bigger price changes. It's a little more volatile, but it appears that we might also be at the bottom of this channel right now, which could mean a nice little pop as well in the stock. So I like the fact that we could see that pop, and also that $48 range, 48.64, so was the top of that previous, that gets us to the 78.6% Fibonacci level, which could also be very significant. So there's a lot of reasons to me to be bullish the stock at the daily level. Now we saw at the hourly and shorter, because of these multiple days of price going down, we're looking more bearish. But the question is, has that upward trending line been broken yet? Or are we just taking a breather before we push higher? So always the question. This is definitely a company worth watching, possibly playing some. I've made money trading these options before. I've even given these on my podcast a couple times. So it's a lot of fun. Let me know if you trade Freeport-McMoRan options or stock. Also, if you haven't already done it, please do go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And thanks so much for watching. As always, happy trading.